Hi there, I'm Nick Hamelin, talking from our Neuroscience Lab here in Sydney. Today I'm going to talk about the neuroscience of branding and persuasion, or we could also call that manipulation. As you know, brand value or brand equity is rarely based on the physical or financial asset of a company, but mostly on other intangible assets. Let me explain. So brand can be defined as the merging of both the functional and the emotional aspect of a product or a service. By adding emotion, you basically take consumer away from a rational evaluation of the price of a given product or service. Since basically you cannot put a price on emotion. How much will you pay for friendship or love? Take this GSM telephone watch, for example. Sold as a function, it is a miserable $1. But if I tell you that this watch can keep your kid safe in case of danger, as the world is a terribly dangerous place full of really bad people. So now the question is very different. Is how much are you ready to pay to keep your kids safe? Priceless, right? The reason is that as human, we are emotional machine. So if you look at a human brain, most information we are using to make a decision travels through the amygdala, which is the emotional center of the brain. And this information is assigned an emotional balance, positive, negative, or neutral. So branding is basically about generating the right emotion to sway people's decision one way or the other. We carried out an experiment teaming up with Ogilvy in Dubai. The idea was to help BP regain its green image after the Gulf of Mexico disaster. Now, before the disaster, BP had spent millions of dollars polishing their green image. In fact, $200 million in PR, and it really worked. People really believed that they were filling their car with green petrol. Now, please someone tell me what exactly is green petrol. Anyhow, the research question was how to write a press release so that it is persuasive. So we wrote one text in two different ways. The text was about BP helping save some turtles somewhere on a Pacific island. One text used more cognitive words, the other used a more affective semantic register. So we took people in the lab, and while they were reading, we measured their emotional reaction using facial detection analysis, galvanic skin response, but also eye tracking to see which parts of the text were more engaging. After reading the text, we asked our respondents to rate if they thought BP was green and if this was credible. There were strong statistical differences. Participants who had read the emotional text had experienced higher positive emotion and therefore were more convinced that BP was a green company than those who had read the more technical text. They had also spent more time reading it. Yet people who had read the emotional text with greater attention were also less convinced. Now, in conclusion, emotion is central to persuasion, or in other words, a great way to manipulate the public opinion. But there is a fine line. Too little emotion generates poor engagement, but on the other hand, with too much emotion, credibility suffers. Finally, some huge and important ethical question to how far we want to go to help brand manipulate public opinion. And if we should be teaching all this technique to the next generation of people in charge of our businesses or governments. That's it for today. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next time.